Hey, welcome to Fieros' Storytime with me, Fieros Reborn, on the show. Fieros Reborn, I suppose. TV. Hi. Welcome, hello. What's going on with the lighting in here? Oh. Hello, Ganesh. Hello. Again, I feel like Ganesh is more real than I am right now. I'm just waiting for everyone to get in. Come on, get in on the on the page, on the video. Get in, get involved. I'm doing this video now because I'm still going a little bit nuts. I've been working all day, expressing myself, and my energy is still a little bit kind of jittery. So I thought I'd do a video to poop myself out. You know. Right, I'm going to put the screen down. I will check back on it because we know what tends to happen these days is that the screen kind of fucks up and locks, doesn't it? Anyway, Fieros' story time. Time for me to tell some stories. So I've been telling my life story, between the ages of 2004 and 2014. Sorry. Yeah, well, I was 2004 years old. No, between the years of 2004 and 2014. And I feel like we're kind of coming to the end. So the story goes, I was in Ward 12, which is was a hospital ward in Ascot's Heatherwood Hospital, right? That's Berkshire, because I've checked. It's Berkshire. That's in England, the UK, Europe, still Europe at the moment. Won't be in Europe for very much longer. Brexit, mum. I'm looking forward to Brexit. Anyway, that's besides the point. I'm just glad that the UK has actually made a decision for once on something. Anyway, let's forget about politics because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk about myself. Yeah. And my life story. So I feel like I'm beating around the bush. The burning bush that we had yesterday, but I don't have that on. No, all right. Okay, so Ward 12. So there was a woman who screeched a lot and threw over tables. There was an Indian woman who tried to get me a job on the outside, but it was ridiculous as well because like she was offering me to get a job with her company or something. And I was like, dude, we're inside a psychiatric ward and you're trying to offer me a job. It makes no sense. So that was weird. Mark had his genius complex. Giuseppe was roaring around, lying on the floor in a starfish position. There was Nurse Amy. She was Welsh. She was super hot, super beautiful. She was beautiful and she was kind, and she was caring and compassionate, and they are all the same thing. And she was super hot. She was gorgeous. She was Welsh and she was gorgeous. She started working there like after a little while. I swear she wasn't there when I first got into the place. But yeah, she was gorgeous and I fantasized about her. I wished that I could be with her because she was a lovely person. She was super hot. She was blonde, Welsh, fairly young, but not too young, if that makes sense. So she was like, I don't know, probably around 27 to 32, something like that. She still felt young and fresh. She was just nice and kind. She was like a very warm person, but she lied. Well, I think she lied. I'm not sure. Basically, I wasn't happy about the fact that I'd been given a fake choice about my medication. So, well, I've been given a choice between either taking my medication voluntarily or having people administer it forcefully to me. So, up until I don't know, a couple of weeks in, I hadn't actually been taking any medication because I refused to. Um, yeah. And then, so was it 2 weeks in or 1 week? I can't remember exactly. But there was I was really fighting the whole medication thing. I wasn't up for taking it. I didn't want to take it at all. And they put pressure on me. The doctor put this pressure on me. Her name was Dr. Clifford. She was the dragon woman, the beast woman. She was very draconian, very stern, very brisk, very unfeeling, very uncaring, very clipboardy. She always had a little clipboard with notes on it and stuff. And I didn't feel like she was a human being at all. I felt like she was just a robot, an evil robot as well. Very unfeeling, very crisp and very curt and very snappy, and it was just very unfeeling. And I felt like she was a horrible person, and that she was in the wrong job. Maybe it was the right job when she first started as a young doctor, but it was a horrible person to deal with in that situation. This is supposed to be a caring profession, a doctor, a person who is there to help you. And I felt like this person was there to punish me and to be mean and cruel to me. It wasn't just what she did in terms of the decisions she made, but it was just how she was, how she carried herself. This just air of blunt superiority, very, very hard line medical thing. I was most definitely a patient, and she was most definitely a doctor. There was no human beings interacting in that situation, so that was horrible. Yeah. So anyway, she put pressure on me to take the medication, and if I didn't take it willingly, that she would invoke her powers and tell the nurse attendants to pin me down and inject it into my butt, which that happens to people. If they refuse to cooperate or refuse to take the medicines, then they can be administered forcefully in that situation. That is why you're detained in a mental health ward, because they need powers over you, and that's one of the powers that they have. Now, I felt like it was an affront to my human rights. I don't know if it was, but I felt like it was. I think I'd read about human rights in some book somewhere, and I was like, I swear this is against my human rights. So I asked Nurse Amy. I was like, I swear it's like against my human rights to have medication forced on me, and she said, "Oh yes, yeah, it's definitely your right to refuse it." So I don't know where they are now. Rights. Well, it's not really that. It's not really. It doesn't matter if it's actually accurate or not. This is just how I felt at the time. So I So I asked Nurse Amy. She was like one of the head nurses. She spent most of her time in the office though. I asked her if I said it was against my human rights to have this medication forcefully given to me against my will, against my wishes, because it was not respecting me as a human being, not respecting my sovereignty, yeah, my physical sovereignty and my mental sovereignty. So she said, "Yeah, you're right. It is against your human rights. So you have the right to refuse it." And then after that, I've got Dr. Clifford giving me this ultimatum, basically, that if I don't take it, they're going to force it on me. So I felt betrayed by Amy, because I felt like she was part of the same system, and she was championing my right to refuse, and then I got this doctor saying, "No, you don't have a right to refuse." So I just felt betrayed by the system. I kind of felt betrayed by Amy and the whole system anyway, and I feel betrayed by the whole system anyway. Do I still feel it now? Maybe not, but I really felt it at the time. I just feel like it's horrible having medications forced upon you, because it feels violent to do that. Even if you're not struggling, it feels like an invasion, a violation, and it was against my will. It never even happened that way. Like, it didn't come to that eventually, but because I realised, all right, well, I've got no actual choice. It is I'm going to have to take this medication whether I like it or not. And if I fuss and squeal and refuse it, then it's just going to be more painful, more difficult for me. So I may as well fucking accept it. So I felt again that I was having to compromise my integrity or my principles about what I wanted for myself. So I was having to accept what I saw as abusive treatment, being given medication to change my state of mind, to change who I was, to change how I felt and thought. I was having to succumb to this because it was just being forced upon me. And I was really upset about that. And I'm more upset about it now, thinking about it. I just think it's barbaric, the whole thing. I feel it's just wrong. I think it's wrong. Like, what gives them the right to say that I should get better? That's the other aspect of it. Like, how come they say what's better and what's right and what's good health and stuff? And how come my own personal subjective understanding of my mental health has nothing to do with it? And how come other people are kind of assessing whether or not I have my own mental capacities in check? You know, it's very dehumanizing. So I ended up taking the medication. I didn't want to, but I felt that I had to, because if I didn't take it willingly, then it would be forced inside me. And I'd seen and heard of other people who would be injected, and I didn't want that because that was worse. So I took the medicines, and that's when all the side effects started happening. Slurring my words, stiff neck, hard to move my upper body in general, low mood actually as well. I didn't have low mood before I started taking the antidepressants and the antipsychotics. It was only since I started taking those that my mood went down. And it would happen quite markedly after I'd had the medications. I would start the day feeling happy and bright and bouncy, and then I'd have the medications and I'd feel low, depressed, suppressed, blurry, bleary, heavy, horrible. But that's all good stuff, because at least I wasn't being psychotic. So the first medication I was put on was an antipsychotic medication, which I believe was called risperidone to begin with. Or maybe it's aripiprazole. Whoa, I remember the names. Aripiprazole. Well, one of them came first and another one came second, because a long time after I was out of hospital, I was still taking antipsychotic drugs for a while after, well, a fair while, a couple of years, 2 or 3 years afterwards, just because it was, I don't know, it was just ongoing for ages. Oh man, this feels really strange to be talking about this stuff. It's like, I feel so different as a person now, that, and I'd kind of pushed all that stuff so far behind me, then I feel strange talking about it, because, oh man, I went through so much shit, you know, just my life was really poor, and my emotional health and psychological health was really poor for a long time. And it's just very bizarre because I don't associate with that kind of feeling anymore. Um, I feel like me, and I feel like I've been me for a long time, and I feel like I'm only getting more clear in myself as I go along. I still have my confusions and my issues and my behavioural patterns that I'm not always happy with. And I'm not 100% happy all the time, but I feel like I'm at least myself, and I'm honest and I'm real, and I'm present and I'm aware of myself, conscious. But looking back through my memories of this person who I was when I was taking these medications, I just feel like I'm just this massive stinking cloud of negative energy, cloudy energy. So it's very strange to think back to who I was. And so much of it was to do with what happened to me and also the medications I was on. It wasn't like I was choosing to be that way. It was just what the situations had brought upon me, and how my body and mind and emotions were responding to all that stuff. I mean, it was only like in the 2014 period, which is where the story's heading, that I started to define myself and to break out of that old pattern and that old sense of self, this old ill, depressed, low, the ill child. I quite often refer to myself as being the ill child. It was a family system role that I was playing, the ill child, the ill, depressed child, or the ill one, the depressed one, the low one, the subdued one, the quiet one, the ill problem child. Basically, I was the ill problem child for a long time, and it was only when I came off the medications in 2014, well, end of 2013 to beginning of 2014, that I started to become myself again, which is weird because the medications you would have thought were there to bring you back to yourself, but not so much. I found the medications to be clouding myself and to be numbing my emotions. Numbing. Numb, 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 numb. Yeah, but I feel like a very, very different person now. I don't feel quite back to the sense of who I was like before I went to uni or while I was at uni, which I felt like was really very, very like me, very who I am kind of thing. I feel like I'm a bit like something's still missing, like some part of me is not quite engaged yet, not quite sort of switched back on, if that makes sense. I mean, smoking didn't help because smoking was another addiction that, as in opposed to prescription medications, which I was addicted to because I was medically addicted to them. I was told to take them, so I had to take them. And there were withdrawal symptoms when I came off them, so that does count as an addiction in that sense. But smoking was another addiction that just obfuscated, clouded my perception of myself and clouded my perception of my emotions and stuffed my emotions down and stuff. So I'm a year off smoking now. I've had a few puffs here and there, a couple of full cigarettes, but that's it. I actually had one cigarette the other week because I'd finished something. Oh yeah, I'd finished the first full book of Psych Wards 1 to 4, and I compiled them into one book. And I was really pleased with myself. And I was like, all right, I'm going to celebrate by doing a bit of killing myself. And I actually even bought a packet of tobacco and some Rizzlers and a lighter. It cost me like 16 quid. Worst £16 I've ever spent. I rolled up a cigarette and I was like, because I don't know if I still miss, I think I do, part of me still misses being a smoker. I don't miss smoking, but I miss being a smoker. I miss rolling cigarettes. I miss it being part of my life. I miss being in the crowd of smokers, as in like being able to talk to anyone who's a smoker very easily. I miss that whole social side of it. It really defined my life for a few years being a smoker, like from 2014 to the beginning of 2018, I suppose. So 4 years, 3 and a bit years, really. I don't even know when I started smoking, honestly. I remember I was 28. Yeah, I mean, I've smoked here and there in the past before that, but I've never been addicted. I just would have one every now and again. But I got properly addicted when I was 28. So 2014, yeah. I've completely lost what I'm doing here. Yeah, but that was another thing that kind of clouded up my sense of self. So I'm way past that now, but there's still these effects of this cloudedness of my emotions. My emotions feel stuffy and unclear still. My head still feels a bit fuzzy and brain foggy. So I don't feel like I'm 100% switched back on to my kind of full character, if that makes sense. My full meanness. My meanness. I'm not quite at full meanness. Full weeness maybe, but not full meanness. Yeah. Like I haven't fully recovered my teenage self yet. So my teenage self, like being the guy who's enthusiastic about life. My teenage self was really enthusiastic and really driven and really success oriented and task oriented and goal oriented and having fun oriented and passion oriented and stuff. And I haven't quite regained that. I'm still a bit lethargic and a bit sluggish in my life, and my belly is actually going down. My belly's going down so much. It's amazing. You might not be able to tell, but I can tell. So I'm so glad my belly's going down because that was really affecting me as well. Like I didn't feel happy because most of my attention was being drawn to the feeling inside my belly. My belly was just feeling so bulky and bulbous and fat and bloaty and heavy, and just it was actually weighing me down, literally weighing me down. Because I'm not used to having a belly. I've never had an actual belly, and now I've got one. It's actually going down, but for the last sort of year, actually, I've been much fatter than I've ever been before, and it was really starting to get to me. I was like, I'm so fat. I've never been this fat before. I'm not used to it. My body is not naturally a fat body. My body is naturally a slim body. I've always been slim, and just this coming off smoking just fattened me up like a pig. So I'm glad to be starting to slim down again. Like, God, it's weird. I've never been fat before, and it's amazing how much it actually affected my sense of self and my sense of happiness. I felt like I couldn't be happy because this feeling inside me was so heavy that it was actually weighing down my happiness feelings. I was like, I can't actually be happy because all I can think of and all I can feel is this gut that is just heavy. And maybe normal people who have been fat for a while or something, they just tune it out and they don't feel that anymore or whatever, and they can still be happy and be fat. But I can't be happy and fat. And it's not even how I look. I don't care how I look, really. I mean, I care a little bit. I care how I feel. I care how my body feels inside. It's not even that I care. I can't avoid the feeling. The feeling is there. So it's not like, oh, I wish it wasn't like that. It's just confronting me constantly, like, this feels bad, this feels bad, this feels bad, this feels bad, this feels bad. Anyway, so I'm so glad that it's starting to go down and it stopped feeling so bad. I'm like, oh, yeah, good. Because I can start to feel like myself again, you see. I don't feel like myself with a big fat belly. This belly does not feel like my belly. It feels like the smoking belly. It's weird. It doesn't feel like me. Okay, that's fine. And I'm also not doing the things I would normally do as me. Normally I would, like, my normal life is like this. I have a job, a car, I'm in a band, I'm doing stand-up comedy on the side, I'm doing artwork on the side. I never really used to write books, so this is also a weird thing. Like, I don't feel like an author. I obviously am an author, but I don't associate with that role. I think it's a strange role for me to be in. It's not a normal role. I mean, I did have dreams of not becoming an author. I had dreams of writing a book, at least one book, when I was a kid or when I was a teenager. But I've fallen into this role of author, and I don't actually want to be an author. I'm doing it because I feel I have to, because I have to get out. There's so much material inside me that it won't fit inside songs. It won't fit inside artworks. What's the other thing? It won't fit inside comedy. There's too much for me to put into a stand-up comedy set. It's just far too much that I just need to put it in books and get it all out of the way. And I feel like the writing of these books is something that is in the way. It's in the way of me going back to normal. And my normal is being in a band, as I said, having a job, having a girlfriend as well, by the way, having a car. I've never lived by myself for any particular length of time, but I would like that to be my normal. I feel better when I don't live at home in my parents' house. I've always felt better when I've lived elsewhere, because I get freedom, and I just feel like this house weighs me down as a whole. So I want that to be my normal. And I'd also go on holidays often, and I haven't gone on holidays. I'd have money in my account. That's not been normal for ages. You know, I have very little in my account week to week. I don't really save much from week to week, if anything. And I used to have savings. That's my normal. And I haven't been at my normal for a long time. Like, I'm not saying my normal is the same as everyone else's normal, but my normal is my normal, you know, like what I'm used to, what I expect of myself. When I look at my life, I expect to see myself with a car, with a girlfriend, in a band, my band, about my music, or collaborative music, but with a strong sense of my own songs in there, performing gigs, rehearsing, doing recordings, stand-up comedy as well, in some ways going on in my life. That's my normal. Having money, having some kind of work on the side, and I haven't, like, none of that shit has been happening. It's such a weird fucking few years while I've been writing these books. It doesn't feel normal. It's like, it doesn't feel normal. I mean, I started to develop a new normal with regard to writing books, but that has never felt quite the same as my old normal. You know, my old normal was better. And I really just can't wait to finish these books. And once they're completely all out of my system, I can feel it. We're coming to the end on them. It's going to be a few more months, maybe 6 months or so, to get all the crap out of me, in terms of not that the books are going to be crap, but it's just like it's unsticking me. You know, I feel stuck inside, and I need to get the stuff out. And once that's all out, I really hope that I will be back to my sense of normal in myself, and then I can have my normal life again, because my normal life has been fucked for ages. So, yeah. Okay. So let's go back to the story, I guess. Ward 12. Well, what else is there to say about it? I feel like I've said everything already in Ward 12. It's more just a lingering feeling of these corridors. And oh yeah, so I said that I was going to talk about good things that happened. Well, I played one of my songs, or a couple of my songs actually, for some of the inmates. There was this woman called, I don't know, let's call her Elizabeth, yeah. She was blonde curly hair. She had blonde curly hair. She went through different phases of her mental state. So in the morning, I think it was in the morning. Yeah, in the morning, she was nuts. She was paranoid. She was delusional. She felt like the MI5 were running the hospital as a prison. She would talk about it all in a very scared, paranoid way about how things were being run as a prison. And it is a prison, but she was taking it to the kind of next degree, like as though it actually was a prison, but it was a secret that it was a prison. And I was thinking, dude, this is no secret. It is a fucking prison. It's obvious it's a fucking prison, but it's not. It's a medical prison, you know. And it's not got very much security. It's not being run by the MI5. Or is it? Anyway, so she was like paranoid and delusional, and thinking that all the nurses were out to get her in some way, and that they all had malignant, bad intentions for her. And then as the day wore on, she would kind of get brighter and brighter, and then like in the evenings, she'd be a normal human being, where you just have kind of a chat with her, and she'd be happy and very bubbly and bright and sane, basically, just sane, intelligent, and funny and open and stuff. And then the next day, she'd go back to the paranoid delusion state in the morning. So that was very strange to see how she could be so closed and contracted and scared and traumatized. And then it just seemed to be to do with how long she'd been awake or something, or the times of the day. I don't know. Maybe it was to do with medication that she was taking. I'm not sure. Maybe it just took a bit of time for it to settle in or something. But she kind of, it was a bit like a flower. Imagine a flower on a rose bush. Yeah. So to begin with, it's just a closed rose bud with all these spikes around it. So she's just paranoid and scared and you know, trying to fend off threats and stuff, mentally and emotionally. And then as the day went on, she opens up her flower. That sounds sexual. And she becomes this bright, kind of lovely person. And then it goes back overnight to being this closed and suspicious person. So it's very strange. But over the course of her stay, she opened up more and more and more and more, basically. So she started off doing this cycling pattern between the paranoid delusional contraction state to the open, expansive, intelligent, kind, funny, bright state. So over time, the paranoid part got less and less, and the bright, intelligent state got more and more. So by the end of it, I believe she got let out before I did. I'm not sure. I mean, like, people just disappeared. That's the thing as well. Like, it's not as though they send a whole memo or an alarm bell goes off saying, by the way, Liz is leaving, Liz is leaving, Liz is leaving. It doesn't say that over the tannoy or something. There is no tannoy, by the way. Or maybe there is no tannoy. There's no tannoy in there. So when someone left, you don't know. When did they leave? Where have they gone? Have they gone on leave? As in, have they just gone out for a few hours, or have they disappeared? And it's not like you're told. And that's really bad, actually, I think, because there is a sense of community in a psychiatric ward, believe it or not. I mean, it does feel like just a bunch of fractured mad people, but you do get to know each other. You do make friends in a way. You have conversations with other nutters, and the nurses as well. So there is a sense of coherency in a way. There is a sense of community because we're all in it together in that way. We're all in that same boat. We all have different issues and whatever, different situations. But there is a sense of the psychiatric ward community. And it's such a shame that that's not acknowledged, because when people get let out, they just disappear. They literally disappear. Like, so any bonds you might have made, unless you're like really focused on maintaining contact, then you probably won't. And that's a shame, because if there was more group cohesiveness, if they had more group kind of therapies and group meetings and sharing of contact details and sharing of stories and stuff like that, then I think that it would be actually a very enriching experience, or it could be more enriching. But the way that it goes is people come in, you don't know why they've come in, because remember the medical team, the nurses and the doctors, keep all the information about everyone private, right? Okay, that's fine. But they keep it private even from the patients. So they don't really know what the medical staff are saying and thinking and deciding about them until it comes to particular decisions such as when you can leave, if medication needs to be changed, and so on. So I think that's bad because there is a Freedom of Information Act, so you can actually request to see your notes and stuff like that. But I think that it would just be nice if patients were able to see information about what is going on regarding them. So, like, what is being said, what is being noted, because it feels like this power divide between the professionals and the patients. And so the patients are disempowered because they don't have information about what is going on. And the doctors are very secretive in that sense. The doctors and the nurses and all the staff members are very secretive about the processes that they're working to and the protocols that they have in place. So it's just this kind of situation where you've got a bunch of disempowered people and a bunch of powerful people. I wouldn't say they're empowered. I'd say they're in a position of power. And then you got a bunch of kind of low-level disempowered people who don't have access to information, who don't know what's going on, who oftentimes don't know why they're there. They don't really know what their diagnosis is and what that really means fully. They don't have a sense of being in a community other than the one that they make for themselves. So it's just fucking, it's horrible. And it's horrible when you've got like a ward round going on or a doctors and nurses meeting about your case, because they're all in this room without you. So you can watch from the outside a bunch of people talking about you, basically. It's horrible. And they have this kind of thing every week. So all these people come in, it's all relevant to you, and they sit there in this meeting room and you're not allowed in, and they discuss everything about your case. They discuss everything that all the notes they've been taking and everything. And so they discuss it all without your input, without your knowledge, without you're not informed about what they're saying. And then you get a meeting with your doctor and they report it to you, kind of thing, and they tell you what they've decided. So it's like, well, where the fuck was my input in this? What decisions did I have to make, and where was my voice in that? So basically what you're telling me is you've observed me, you haven't involved me, you haven't engaged with me, you've just observed me and then decided on the basis of that what you're going to do to me or about me or for me. Right. Okay, thanks. So it's nasty. It's really fucking nasty. Can you just imagine that situation? Even in a normal environment, let's say it's in a business situation, right? So you have, let's say you've submitted something, and then you got a bunch of people sat round discussing things about that while you stand outside looking through a window. What the fuck? I mean, how stressful is that? How anxiety provoking and worrying is that, eh? Like you're being purposely left out of the loop, purposely shunned, while they all whisper to themselves in this medical room with all this power, and you're going, oh, what's going to happen to me? Yeah, what's going to happen to me? My fate is completely in the hands of this bunch of dicks in this room, and I'm not allowed in, and the door's locked, I think. Maybe. But I'm not allowed in, for sure. So, that's weird. And I don't think that's correct either. I don't think that's how it should be. I think the patient should be sat in on their ward round, so they can be in the know about what the hell is going on for them and why doctors are making certain decisions and how they're coming to their decisions as well. Because to keep the patient out of their own loop is abusive, I think, because all the information that's being discussed is relevant to the patient, obviously, because they're making decisions that are going to affect the patient's fucking life. And so the patient should be in on that. But they weren't when I was there. I don't know if they do it now, but they weren't when I was there. So that's shit. I was saying about community as well. Yeah, so like, people come and go, and that's such a shame, because yeah, I was just saying, like, they don't let you know when someone's gone. They just disappear, because they kind of, there's this sort of assumption that because everyone's an individual person and an individual case, that somehow we're not related, as in that there's no relevancy to each other, that we're not connected in some way, that we don't have a shared bond or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to say, like, I'm trying to say it sucks, basically, to see people that you've met and your friends suddenly disappear without knowing why, without knowing when either. So the whole thing is shit. You know, we'd like to know in advance when we are going to get out, and so we can say goodbye to each other and things like that. I think that's nice. I think that's natural. To have an ending that has meaning to it, rather than just people suddenly disappearing. They literally just disappear because you could be in one part of the building and someone suddenly gets let off their section because some doctors made the decision that they can go free, and then by the time you sort of come to the dining room or something, they've already been set free, and maybe someone says, "Oh, they said bye." Oh, okay. Well, I've known them for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, in close proximity, because we all live we live on the ward when we're there. We have to be there, right? As in, no escape. Bit of leave every now and again, like, but we're on the ward. So it is a community. And then, oh yeah, they're gone now. What? They're gone? How long were they here for? Why did they go? Where are all my friends going? Basically, it sucks. It really fucking sucks. So back to that Elizabeth person, or did I call her Lizzie? Lizzie? Oh no, Liz. Lizzie. Liz. I don't even remember if that's her proper name. It's probably something like Catherine, but let's call her Liz. I can't remember when she went on or not or whatever. But I have the feeling like she probably just disappeared, like everyone else did. What else? So there was Denise. Denise as well. She was a regular person. She did not disappear because she was a little too ill to disappear. She was a little too kooky to disappear. She was. It was a shame, basically, that she was there, because it was clear to me anyway, and on reflection now even more clear, that she'd obviously been through some traumatic stuff to get her to where she was. I'll try and talk about her to describe what she was like. So I think she was 50s, sometimes, some age between 50 and 60. You know, we can't tell people's ages, but I don't think she was 45. She had grown-up daughters and stuff, so, and just from her skin and hair, she looked like she was over 50. And also from her body type. from her body shape. You get a certain sag in certain places, buttocks and boobs, and things look a certain way after a certain age. So I think she was between the age of 50 and 60. She had frizzy, grey, kind of grey hair. Was it grey? Grey or blonde? Blondie grey, maybe. I'm not sure. But that was a mess as well. It wasn't kind of well kept. It wasn't well kept at all. It was a mess. So she had this messy hair. She used to wear kind of gym outfit type stuff. So leggings and a kind of gymmy t-shirt type of thing. And I swear she wore a bum bag, little fanny pack thing. She had a strange posture. That was the position she was always in. She had this kind of twist in her back. Her neck was never quite on straight either. Oh God! So she was always in a bit of an odd position the whole time. She was a funny one, but it's such a shame because I could see that at some point along the line of her life, something serious had gone wrong. A massive trauma, a massive loss. Someone died, or like maybe her home got wrecked or something, or I don't know. And probably coupled with some early deep abuse in her childhood. I'm just guessing, right? I'm just guessing. Something must have happened along the way to have changed her so dramatically, because I could see the sort of the shimmer of this person that she used to be, that was covered up by these layers of medication and delusion and strange behaviour. But she was a very sweet person. It was just masked by all this madness that had overtaken her. So it was really sad, in a way, that she was so kooky and messed up, because I can imagine what she was like if she was well, basically, and she would probably be quite a lovely person. But in the ward, she was a nutter. She wasn't violent or anything, or anything like that. She was just my daughter. So she had the slurred words thing as well. This is a shame as well, because a lot of people get this slurring of words from the medication, because they come as side effects with certain medications. The slurring mouth and the frozen neck thing, that's a side effect of some of the antipsychotic type of medications, which I think is shit, honestly. If that's doing that to you, then maybe they shouldn't be giving you those medications, I don't think that's worth it. That if that happens, if your neck freezes up and you can't speak properly and you start dribbling because of the medication you're on, I don't think you should have that medication anymore. And this is just obviously just my personal opinion, because I went through that symptom side effect thing, and I think it's actually not worth having those side effects. If you're going to lose some delusions but gain all this physical abnormality because of medication, then I just don't think you should be taking have the fucking delusions instead, So she was a bit of a dribbler. She had a stiff neck. She had the slurring of words. I'm kind of trying to not laugh, But I think my laughter, honestly, is a defense against the utter tragedy of the whole thing. You know, mad people are funny only if you see it from an external perspective. If you see it from their perspective, it's an utter horrendous tragedy. It's funny from the outside because someone's behaving strangely. But if you are that person, it's not funny at all. It's horrible. Because your mind is fucked. Your perception of life is fucked. You think all this stuff is happening when it's not really happening, or you're completely misreading situations. You know, you don't have control over your situation. You don't have control over your behavior anymore. You're trapped inside your own mind in some way. You're trapped inside your own emotions. You're trapped without much input on your life anymore, because something else has taken you over in some way. And that's a horrible situation to be in. So although it's funny because from the outside we see a mad person doing strange things and saying strange things and being strange, that's funny because it's just very odd, and odd things are funny. But if you see it from her perspective and empathize with that person, then it's horrible because they're suffering. Yeah. And that's what I find most tragic about the psych ward situation, is that some people are so messed up and have gone through so much and have got such difficulties that it doesn't matter what medication you shove in them, or how long they'll be there for, they're going to be in there for the rest of their lives. And that sucks. Because if you just think into how that must be for that person, it's just so horrible. Because can you imagine what their experience is of life? It's hard to imagine because it's so different, and it looks like it's a very, very painful place to be, and their behaviours and all their delusions seem to be covering up this massive, painful experience. So, you know, it just feels horrible. And then you'll get people who the medical profession cannot help, because they don't have the drugs or the therapies or whatever. Maybe other cultures could help them. I don't know. Like shamanism, I think, might be good. Other different types of holistic healing, energy healing, stuff like that. Maybe that can help. But there are just some people who are in such a bad state of mental, emotional dysfunction and suffering that there's nothing you can do for them. And all this stuff, that the medication and being in a psychiatric ward and even having therapy or whatever, is just like at the best, it's just relieving the worst of it, you know? Like a mental painkiller kind of thing, but it doesn't solve the problem and it doesn't make them better. They're never going to be happy, and they're never going to be fulfilled or out of pain. And that's really hard. And I think back to the person Gavin, who was the paranoid schizophrenic, right? I think I had half a minute's worth of normal conversation with him throughout the whole time that he was that I was there. Sorry, which was 2.5 months. 30 seconds of intelligent conversation. 30 seconds. Where he basically told me his name was Gavin and that he liked me as he recognised me as Ross and that he liked me and thought I was his friend, and that he was a paranoid schizophrenic. 30 seconds. You know, and he's on all the medications. Or he was. And then later on, after I'd finished being in the ward, I went back to visit, to kind of confront my demons, and I wanted to give some clothes to the ward because I'd borrowed some clothes at one point, which is another story. I think I've already told that, the protest thing, where I pissed myself and pissed on the floor and stuff as a protest and everything. And I borrowed clothes because they got given to me. So I wanted to give some clothes back. But when I went there to visit, I found out that Gavin had died. Like while he was still on the ward. So he never got out. He never got better. It's just so fucking tragic. And there was nothing anyone could do for him. That sucks. I suppose he did get out in a way. He got free. He got free into death. That sucks. And there are many, many people like that. Well, there's nothing you can do for them, and you're doing all the medicines and whatever treatments and physiotherapy and any kind of all different kinds of therapy. You know, doing the artwork, the aromatherapy, the meditation, all this stuff, and they're still gonna die unhappy and in confusion and in conflict and in stress and in pain and shouting and delusion and whatever. That's so hard. And then you've obviously got the people who are so unhappy that they kill themselves. So it's just such a It's a massive fucking tragedy. I used to say that my experience in the psych ward taught me compassion. Yeah, I guess. It certainly taught me to. It taught me that most people's problems are absolutely nothing. Most people's problems in life are ridiculous, utterly ridiculous, compared to some of the people whose problems I've seen. So it's made me laugh a lot more. I mean, I was already finding the ridiculousness of life anyway, and the funny side and the bright side of life anyway, but I think it's made me more human somehow, more accepting. Maybe it's made me more caring. I don't often feel it though at the moment. I feel a bit angry still. Stupid fucking smoking belly. It's just full of anger. But I think it has made me more human. I don't always know what to do with that. Like, having been through what I've been through, what can you make that into? You know. Then again, I am making books out of it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being an egomaniac, but I do feel as though I see things a bit differently now. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like having gone through that and seen people like Gavin and Giuseppe and Denise, and seeing people in real mental, emotional, behavioural suffering. I mean, I didn't really see people in physical suffering, but the mental health suffering is a different thing. It's just different. I'm not saying it's worse necessarily, but it's different. But having been put in contact with that and not seeing it through a lens of like if I was a worker there, I think if you're a worker, you can kind of tune out of it in a way, maybe, or you see it differently because you have a role to play. But I just saw it kind of bare bones, people, just as a people to people kind of thing. And I don't know. It has had a massive impact on my life, and I'm not sure. I don't think that has fully actually manifested the learnings from this psych ward period in my life. I don't think I've fully like integrated everything that I can take from that just yet. It's such a profound experience, both for the trauma of how it affected me personally, but also for what I saw of humanity in there. Anyway, I need a fucking drink. Oh. Oh my god. Okay, that was hardcore. Thanks for sticking with me. If you've got this far, well done. But yeah, I'm gonna go have a fucking drink, man. I'm not encouraging alcoholism for you, but I'm gonna have a fucking drink and maybe cry some more. I don't know. There we go. That's been Fieros' story time today. Talking again about Ward 12, the tragedy and humanity of it all, really. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for watching that. I appreciate that. Catch you soon. Bye.